and today we're gonna read the Magic Tree of Merlin mission book, 15 Leprechaun in Late Winter, and today we're gonna start reading at Chapter 3, Miss Augustra, and the end of reading at Chapter 4, okay? And before you look at my YouTube, please thumbs up my YouTube. And now, already read this one book with a lot of stories, and now here we go. And first you can read it, the Magic Tree of Merlin mission book, 15 Leprechaun in Late Winter. Chapter 3, Miss Augustra. Jack and Annie have looked at each other. Augustra, the girl, put down her basket and took off her wet cap. Did you deliver your cakes to the poor, Miss Augustra? Asked Molly. Yes, Molly, said Augustra. I visited 7 cottages today. 7 in this winter? You are an angel, Miss Augustra, said Molly. Always so kind to the poor. This is my duty, Molly, the girl said, to help those less fortunate than myself. Her gaze was straight on Jack and Annie. And who are these poor children? They're looking for work, miss, said the cook, but I'm afraid they're sorry creatures, not good for everything. I am just sending them away. Oh, surely we must not turn them out so quickly, cook, said Augustra. How tired and miserable they look. And Jack and Annie think they look that bad. We are tired and miserable, Annie said. Her voice sounded sad. Her shoulders sagged. Oh, bother, said Jack. And Annie was really acting her part. My poor dears, you must both come into the parlor and rest a bit, said Augustra. We would like that, said Annie pitifully. Follow me, said Augustra. Miss Augustra, surely you're not taking those of the dirty children into the parlor, said the cook. We must always be kind to the poor. Cook, no matter how dirty they are, said Augustra. We should give them something to drink if they are thirsty and something to eat if they're hungry. You are so kind, Miss Augustra, said Molly, shaking her head. Well, at last, make them take off their filthy boots, said the cook, and Jack and Annie pulled out their boots and socks and sent them by the door, and their feet were red and raw looking. Augustra took 2 peeled potatoes from the bowl and then put them in her pocket, and then she picked it up and lit the candle from the hearth. Come, let me take you the parlor, she said to Jack and Annie. Thanks, Augustra, said Annie. Show some respect, the cook called after Annie. Call her Miss Augustra. Sorry, said Annie. Thanks, Miss Augustra. Annie rolled her up. Jack rolled her eyes. Why should he call her Miss? And Augustra didn't look like she's any older than he was. And holding her flickering candle, Augustra led Jack and Annie out of the kitchen. The wooden floor creaked as they barefoot through the narrow hallway. How are we never going to inspire this strange, serious girl? Wounded Jack, she acts as if she was already a grown-up and treats Annie and me like babies. Well, sit in here, children, said Augustra. She had carried Jack and Annie into the huge room with the heavy curtains with the dark furniture, and the pale teenage girl who had answered the front door sat on the sofa knitting, and another teenage girl had knitted beside her, and they had squared as they saw Jack and Annie. What are you doing, Augustra, said the pale girl. Why are you bringing those 2 into the parlor? I have invited them to the tea, Gertrude, said Augustra, and she had turned to Jack and Annie. Pay no attention to my sisters. She said, please sit down. Augusta, have you gone mad? Said Gertrude. You can't buy this to rent muffins to sit in here. Mother will be furious, said Augusta's older sister. They're filthy and they're not even wearing shoes. And Jack and Annie looked down at the muddy clothes and cold red feet. Oh, cook made them remove their muddy shoes to the children, Eva, said Augusta. I only wish I had nice dry shoes to give them. Sit down, children, she said to Jack and Annie again. Jack and Annie slowly sat down. You're going to get in trouble, Augusta, said Gertrude's mother. Will never approve, said Elzia. Both sisters shook their heads as they went back to their knitting. Augusta ignored her sisters and walked into the silver teapot to the sideboard. Would you like some tea, my poor dears? She asked Jack and Annie. Yes, Miss Augusta, said Annie. Jack nodded. Hot tea sounded good. He still felt chilled from the cold wind and rain. There was a fireplace at the dreary parlor, but no fire was lit. Everything in the room had seemed dark and gloomy except for the few of books on the table. As Augusta poured the tea into the fancy china cups, Jack leaned closer to get a look to the books. One was titled to the plays of the William Shakespeare, and another called The Tales of the King Arthur. Jack smiled to himself. Seeing those book titles made him feel a little more comfortable. Augusta carries up the cups of the tea to Jack and Annie, and then she pulled the potatoes out of her pocket, and then gave to one each of them. Thank you, Miss Augusta, said Annie, and Jack took a sip to the tea, but it was too bitter and hot to drink. He took a bite of a cold potato, but lid was too hot to chew. So, Miss Augusta, what do you like to do around here? said Annie asked. What inspired you? Augusta looked puzzled. I do not know what you mean, she said. What about reading books? said Jack. And have you read those books? He pointed to the tales of a King Arthur with the plays of the William Shakespeare. Those books belong to my brothers, said Augusta. The time has not come from the Augusta to read such books, said the sister Gertrude. Not until she's older, said Sister Elsa. Why, said Jack. Mother says the tales of the King Arthur and the plays of the Shakespeare are not for the young ladies, said Augusta. Really? said Annie. Said Jack. Yes, but I'm afraid I sometimes peek in my brother's books, Augusta said to Jack and Annie in the low voice. I love stories. I remember every story I read or hear. I love stories too, said Annie, and I love books. The two old sisters smiled. Keep straining, my dear, said Elsa. Perhaps one day you will learn to read. I already know how to read, said Annie. Jack and I read lots of books. She pointed to the books into the table. In fact, we know tons about the King Arthur, and we go and see plays by Shakespeare with our parents, and one time we even acted like to be a Shakespeare into the Midsummer Night's Dream. That's what it was at our school, Jack broke in before Annie could tell them that she and Jack had actually met Shakespeare himself. A Midsummer Night's Dream, said Augusta. She grew surprised. Don't listen to them, Augusta, said Gertrude. The bulk of the children have never been to the school, much less asked and play by the William Shakespeare. I suppose you're quite right, Gertrude, someone said. A tall woman was standing to the doorway to the parlor, and she wore a long black Bible dress which stood very straight, and an icy look at her face have stared at Jack and Annie. Oh, Mother, said Elsa. Now it's chapter 4. What are you good for? And now tomorrow we start reading a chapter 4 and Diana reading a chapter 5. Okay? Or maybe new beginning, new stories, but not maybe. Okay? Now, if you didn't subscribe my YouTube before you look at my story, then please subscribe my YouTube now. And now, bye-bye everybody and have a nice day. Bye!